So I had each of us put what our income streams are, because the whole point of this is we are not making our livings in the traditional way through galleries. Any of us, I don't think, or that much, or a fraction of it. So what I do is, and I'll start showing you, I do my, this is almost in order of income. I'm painting sales, public art commissions. I teach one semester at the School of the Art Institute. I wrote a book because I actually didn't have much work, and so I decided to write a book because I heard that you can make money from workshops. So now I do workshops. I bought an old building recently up on Milwaukee that I'm turning into artist live workspace, and so I'm going to be getting a little income from that. And then I have shared housing expenses. So I started out as a fiber artist doing site-specific rugs that tell the story of people's lives. I started doing more public work.
Excuse me, what was the last thing under
Shared expenses. And I'll go through it. So, don't have paintings. I have a studio practice as well, so I sell a lot of work to art consultants. And I decided that since the gallery that closed that represented me here in Chicago, it was the last gallery I was in actually in the country, Flat File, I'm just going to start working directly with art consultants. So I do pretty well with them. I sell a lot of work to hotels, either through prints or originals. And hotel art isn't what it used to be, with the Howard Johnsons or the Holiday Inn, and it's kind of a great cash cow because they redo everything every 5 years. So it's always cycling around. Everything's kind of a little bit stretched on the screen. And then I've been involved with public art for a really long time. I came of age in Seattle, and I was chair of the Seattle Arts Commission for a while, and I also was the program manager for a couple of public art collections there. And so I knew how to get public art commissions. So I started, about 5 or 6 years ago, I quit actually 10 years ago now, I quit my day job as a public art curator. And I started doing my artwork full time. I'd always been doing it. And I have other people fabricate my work for me. And that's one way that I'm able to do a lot of projects. I don't physically place each one of these pieces of smalty. I didn't buy a laser cutter and learn how to laser cut aluminum. I subcontract with other people to do that, and 99% of public artists do that. This is a terrazzo floor that I competed for and won for the new Indianapolis airport. It's 220 feet in diameter. And again, I worked with the terrazzo fabricator. I just had this real epiphany, that anything that I did, once I realized I didn't have to make it myself, and that anything that could be reproduced, created digitally, could be reproduced in pretty much any other material. This is a sidewalk telling the history of Glendale, Arizona in 59 mosaic medallions. It was a very conservative city, and so that's why, it turned out to be a very realistic piece. But it's done in that trompe-l'oeil Roman unswept floor story. And so each one of these represents a different aspect of Glendale. That's a horning toad. Nobody laughs down there. You say horning toad, and I'm like Beavis and Butthead, and you're like, I'm like, this is what I'm doing for Kingsport, Tennessee right now. This is really my first one where I've gotten a chance to work with other materials, and I'm working with Eastman Chemical. I found out they have an innovation lab, and they're going to be doing some of the copolyester resin fabrication, which is really exciting to learn about this. This is my most recent public art commission. This is a big terrazzo floor for Saban Hall at the University of Northern Iowa. And so it's 10 feet wide, to give you that idea. And there's a glass elevator that goes up into the atrium so you can look down on it. So, and then the center part is the student gathering area. So and then another way that I make an income is I share living expenses, which a lot of artists do. There's my That's my small portico, yeah. And then this is the money pit that I bought up at Drake in Milwaukee. That was just going to need a few little repairs, and I'm just running on fumes now. But I turned it into artist workspace, and I had an open house a couple weekends ago, and I'm happy to say I rented every single apartment and every single studio space except maybe one, I think. So I won't be starving in the gutter. And then these other things, I wrote this book called The Artist's Guide to Public Art, How to Find and Win Commissions, when I in fact had no commissions at the time. So I had a lot of time on my hands. But I really went through a lot of soul searching, and I was like, God, should I go get a part-time job at Whole Foods with the benefits? I mean, seriously, I was thinking about that. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to spend that time I would spend, working at Starbucks or working at Whole Foods. I'm going to invest that in myself. I'm just going to redouble my efforts. And I did. And I've had these like crises of confidence several times in my life. Once when I was 19, once when I was in my 40s, I briefly entertained going to law school. And then once, a few years ago when I wrote this book. And I always just keep coming back to, do you want to wake up every day doing what you love? And even if it means you're not going to make a lot of money, you have that freedom. And then if you get advice from people, like someone the other day was telling me, he is an artist in New York, he was telling me he was going through a real low point because he was thinking he was going to just have to get a regular job somewhere. And he says, because all his friends are telling me he needs to get a practical job. And he said, turn around and ask them how they feel about getting up and going to work every day. Do they like that? Would they like that? Do they want that for you? And that is something they don't like. And if they do love getting up and going to a job every day, well, shouldn't they want that for you too? Okay, so